for 2 consecutive years. She also holds she also holds PG Diploma in International Environmental Law from Indian Society of International Law and Diploma in Cyber Laws from Asian School of Cyber Laws. She has worked as assistant professor with Amity Law School, Noida. Now I would like ma'am to proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Shikhar, for the introduction. So, good evening, everyone. Uh, for today's deliberation, we will be talking about fundamentals of research. So, basically, I have divided the lecture into two parts. One is how do we write research papers while pursuing internships, and second is how do we find case laws when we have to research on a particular legal topic. So I'll cover the first part, how do we write research papers. So basically, for writing the research paper, it is foremost important to identify the problem. Now, how do we identify the problem? So basically, when we talk about formulating legal research problem, so it is available, and it is like, you search also, you search on Google, you search in books also about the problem as to where the problem persists in particular legal research. So with this, I would like to say that first and the foremost important step in research methodology, I'll be particularly talking about legal research methodology. So the first and the foremost important step is identification of the problem. So once the problem is identified, then you pursue as to how do we formulate, how do we identify the variables in the research methodology. So for identifying the variables, it is necessary that I would like to first of all say that before identifying the variables, it is like you identify the variables and then you formulate the hypothesis. So you identify the variable and then you see the relation between two different variables, and then you formulate the hypothesis for the research methodology. So basically, like, I give you example of certain hypothesis that like, we say that hostlers consume more alcohol than non-hostlers. So in this, there are two variables. One is hostler, one is alcohol. Hostlers, non-hostlers, and alcohol. We say that lower middle class commits more crime than the upper middle class. So in this, there are two variables: lower middle class, upper middle class, and crime. So how there is a relationship between these two variables, that is to be seen while formulating the hypothesis. Now we have to see that hypothesis is not a question. Hypothesis is a statement. So you formulate the hypothesis while writing a research paper. So it is not necessary that you include hypothesis in the research paper, but while formulating a research design, while drafting a research design, you have to keep it in mind as to what is the hypothesis of a particular legal problem. So with this, you can with this you will be able to identify the legal problem, and you will be able to reach to the solution towards the legal problem. So after this, I would like to say that after formulating the hypothesis, you go on proceeding towards collection of data. Now, how do you collect the data? Data collection is not an easy task. It is not a cakewalk at all, because it includes library research as well. So in most of the law offices, we see that there is a library attached to the office, which you can use for for research purpose. But in most of the law offices, there is no library, so you can use court libraries also. You can use the libraries which are attached to the colleges. So library research is most important in writing research paper, because you need to cite the authorities. So library research, I would say that if you are fortunate enough that you have library attached to the office, it is a good sign that you start beginning your research in the library itself, attached to the office. So you need to find out as to which authority says what about the law. So for this, you need to research about the legal problem. You need to research about the variables. you need to find out various authorities on legal subjects. And there are certain authorities. Like when we talk about research methodology, we basically rely upon P.V. Young's book on research methodology, scientific research and social research. Then we talk about Dr. Ram Ahuja, research methods, and we talk about Professor S.K. Verma and Professor Afzal Wani on legal research methods. So these are the books that we refer for legal research methodology. Like when we talk about contracts, we rely upon Dr. Avtar Singh, Halsbury Laws. We rely upon many other books as well for contracts. So, like for international law, there are books written by Dr. S.K. Kapoor, Brownlee. Then we have very many books on international laws, like we have Stark on international law. So basically, you need to know about various authorities on the subject. So you need to have a simplified view as to how many authorities are available on the subject. So you need to identify the authorities available on the legal subject. So you can do this by using Google search. You can do this by consulting your professors in the colleges. You can consult your seniors in the law offices for finding out the authorities on the legal subjects. So this is very important because, once you have uh, get to know about the authorities, then and then only you consider those authorities for writing the research paper. So now, like as of now, we have discussed for writing research paper, foremost important thing is to identify a legal problem. Once you have identified the legal problems, it is important to identify the variables and formulate the hypothesis for the legal research. Then it is important to collect the data. For data collection, it is important that you go on for finding the authorities. Now, in data collection, you get to know about two types of research methodologies. One is doctrinal research and other one is non-doctrinal research. So doctrinal research totally relies upon the library research. It is also known as armchair research because uh, you get to research and you get to know about the things by reading books, by reading journals, by reading research papers in various law journals. So this is doctrinal research, and non-doctrinal research is empirical method of research, wherein you test the hypothesis empirically. So, I can understand that you are going to pursue your internship. So, for internship, it is not possible to conduct non-doctrinal research that we generally consider for doing higher studies like LLM and PhDs. So, for basically for interns, it is important to know about doctrinal methods. So, doctrinal methods basically they basically they are restricted to library research. So this you need to know about the doctrinal research. So now the next question, which is of utmost importance, is that how doctrinal research can be cited. So there are various citation methodologies available. So it depends, like certain law officers come up with the citation, like they they ask you that your research should be in a particular citation methodology, and if it is not provided, you can use JILI, that is Journal of Indian Legal Institute. They have come up with the citation methodology, so you can use the citation methodology given by Journal of Indian Law Institute. So you can use this citation methodology. Otherwise, you can use worldwide, which is famous. It is Blue Book Citation Methodology, 19th and 20th edition. And there is Oscola Citation Methodology. So this citation methodology basically gives you the outline as to how the research work is to be cited. Like suppose if you are going to cite an author, you don't directly cite the text. You have to refer, you have to cite the author, you have to give credential to the author that you are using their work. So that credential is used in the footnote. So you have to, while using citation methodology, you have to be very careful about uh, writing the footnote, how you are writing the footnote. So citation methodology can be included either in the footnote or in the end note, whatever is convenient to you or whatever is directed to you. So I would say that it is better that it is, included at the end. That is, it is included as a footnote. So after this, I would like to say that after writing the footnotes, after completing your research work, it is important that you analyze the data so collected. So in case of doctrinal methods, you analyze as to what various authors have already stated about the legal problem, and then you compile your own analysis. So you have to analyze the various authorities, you have to analyze the various data which is collected by you. You have to see as to what various authorities have to say on it. So now, after compiling all the authorities, you have to analyze the data, and after that, you have to interpret the data. So now here, interpretation part is also very important, because when I say interpretation, it means that you need not apply the laws of interpretation, but you have to very judiciously interpret the various authorities given on the subject and form your own opinion about it. So it is very important to interpret the data also and form the conclusion on the basis of the available uh, information given to you. So now we see, now I will compile the first part of the lecture. So in the first part, I have covered that for writing a research paper, we need to identify the problem. We need to formulate the hypothesis, identify the variables. Hypothesis is the assumption, is the relationship between various variables given in a problem. So after formulating the hypothesis, we need to collect the data. In your case, it is basically by using doctrinal method, you can collect the data. Doctrinal method is the library research. After using doctrinal method, you collect the data, and then you need to analyze and interpret the data and form your own conclusion. You need to be careful about the citation methodology which you are using. So this is all about the first part. So now we come to the second part of the lecture, which is about case law search. So it is very important, because in any institute, like wherever you go for internship, in any law office or in any corporate office, you join as intern. What you need to do is you need to find the case laws, find the available laws, find the recent laws. So now for finding the various case laws, it is important as to which site you should go for. So basically, like for finding the case laws, we rely on SCC Online and Manupatra. These are admitted in the courts also. Don't use India Kanun. You can use for research superficially by using India Kanun, but it is not admitted as an authority in the court of law. So basically, your search should be on SCC Online or manupatra.com. So while using these search engines, legal search engines, I would say, to find the case laws. Now, to find the case laws, there is a clear-cut rule about it. Article 141 of the Constitution says that the law declared by Supreme Court shall be binding on all courts in the territory of India. So now this lays down the system of precedence, principle of stare decisis, which says that the law declared by the higher court is binding on the lower court. So when we talk about Supreme Court, Supreme Court, when it talks about when it declares a particular law, it is binding on the Supreme Court itself. But there are cases like in Bengal Immunity Company versus the State of Bihar, AIR 1955, and in another case, Keshwan and Bharti versus State of Kerala, AIR 1973, it has been specifically stated that Supreme Court is not bound by its own decisions. It can overrule its own decisions and it can come up with a new law. So that is why I say that when you go for case law search, during internship, it is important that you find out the recent judgment, the recent law on the legal problem. So we talk about the precedent system here. So as I said, that the law declared by Supreme Court is binding on all other courts. It means that the law declared by Supreme Court is binding on all the high courts. Now, when we talk about Supreme Court division bench is bound by the judgment given by the full bench in Supreme Court. So when we talk about high courts, like different high courts of appellate jurisdiction are not bound by their by their laws. Law declared by a high court has a persuasive value on other high court. So it is not binding. So if Delhi High Court declares a law, it is not binding on any other high court. It has a persuasive value on other high court. So, but a law declared by High Court, by Delhi High Court, is binding on lower courts in Delhi. So this you need to understand. So this is the precedent system. Precedent is one of the sources of law. When we talk about sources of law, there are three sources of law: customs, legislation, and precedents. So here we are talking about precedents. So I think so we are clear with this, that law declared by Supreme Court is binding on all courts. And for finding out the case law, you need to find the recent judgment on the legal problem. So now how do you find it? So it is like, you can go for Manu search, SCC online, you write about the topic, you write about the legal problem, and then there will be many case laws appearing, and then you have to you have to go for the case law reading. So while reading the case laws, you analyze as to which is the latest law applicable for the legal problem. So this is not an easy task. This is not very simple to find out a case law. So basically, like, in some of the cases, it has been seen that it is getting very difficult to find. There is no law on the topic. There are cases where you see that there is no case law on the topic. So your case can be a new one, can be an innovative one. So this is also the case. So basically, what you need to do is that you go for finding out various sets of facts. Like, in many cases, it may differ that there are different set of facts available to a case, wherein your case demands another set of facts. So basically, you need to see there should be a balance between the set of facts and the applicable law. So in not all the cases, facts are same. So basically, like, you need to see in a judgment, you need to see two parts. What is the ratio decidendi and what is the obiter dicta? So when we talk about obiter dicta are the observation given by the judges while writing a judgment. So these are mere remarks. Obiter dicta is not binding for anyone. For obiter dicta is not binding in a case law. But when we talk about ratio decidendi is reason for deciding a particular case. So what we need to do in case, like, when you find out a relevant case law, what you need to do is you need to find out the ratio in a particular case. So once the ratio is clear to you, you need to develop it, like, you need to cite it when you compile your legal research. So basically, legal research for case laws is this. So legal research is a set of various case laws. So I think so this is all about how to find a case law and how to go for a legal research. So this is my second part of the lecture. So the second part of lecture basically talked about how do you go for a case law research, case law finding on the websites, and how do you use case law by using the system of precedents. And then we talked about obiter dicta and ratio decidendi. So over to you, Shikhar. This is all about my lecture.
Thank you so Thank you so much, ma'am, for your enlightening us on the important aspect. It would surely help all of us in various research work and also in our internship research work. I would like to remind the interns about the books that ma'am mentioned. For research methodology, ma'am mentioned R.M. Ahuja and S.K. Verma. For contracts, Avtar Singh. For international law, ma'am suggested S.K. Kapoor and Stark on international law. For citation methodology, ma'am suggested Gen- General Law of Indian Law Institute. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us your precious time.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So there is some question, if you can see in the message. Shikhar.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The question answer session was skipped. Sorry. So the interns who have any question, they can just unmute themselves and ask ma'am a question.
Yes, I can see the question, and this is by Prachi Ahuja about the plagiarism. So yes, I missed this point, and thank you for reminding me about this. So when you talk about plagiarism, there are two software available. Basically, for LLM and PhD research, we rely on Turnitin software. So it gives the amount of plagiarism, which is percentage of plagiarism, which is there while conducting the research. So basically, for PhD research, 10% plagiarism is allowed, and for legal research papers, we usually allow around 15% plagiarism. So, plagiarism is very important to check, because once if the article is plagiarized, it is not considered as a substantive piece of reading. So you need to know about the plagiarism also. So you can send it in your institute. Basically, your law institutes have all these software plagiarism softwares. So we use Turnitin for the same purpose. So it can be used in the institute. But online plagiarism softwares are not very reliable, which are available for free. So don't rely on them. So now next question is how we read a case file. So reading a case file, you need to know about the facts first. So facts are very important for establishing a particular case, and then you need to know about the research, the law points which are involved in it, and then you research about those law points. So I think so. I have answered this question. Now, can all these books be mentioned in the group as well? Yes, I'll mention these books in the group. Then next question is how can we strike a balance between set of facts and the applicable law? So basically, yes, basically, if you go for family dispute cases, there are various facts available. There may be set of facts which may vary also. So you need to know that which fact is there, and how the fact can be applied to the applicable law. So basically, set of facts and the applicable law, you need to know that how applicable law can be applied to the set of facts. So in family dispute cases, you see that there are divorce cases, there are maintenance cases. There are various set of facts which are applicable in these cases. So you need to know about the law of maintenance. Law remains same, but set of facts may vary, and these are your variables when you go for legal research. So you need to strike between these set of facts and the applicable law. Law will remain same because law is declared by the courts, law is formulated by the legislatures. So law will remain the same. You need to apply this law on the various set of facts. Then next question which I can see is there any free online platform for checking plagiarism? So this we have already discussed, that free online plagiarism softwares are not reliable. You need to send your research papers to your institute, or to the offices uh, wherein they have purchased legal software. So we basically rely on Turnitin for legal research paper plagiarism. So Turnitin is the reliable source. You can go for it. Then next question is, ma'am, how to begin your research for any topic related to law? So to begin research for any topic, for any legal topic, the first and the foremost thing I have repeated in the lecture also, this is identification of a legal problem. So like, when we talk about COVID these days, COVID-19 these days, so we identify what is the legal problem surrounding COVID-19. So various legal problems are there, like COVID-19 and the law relating to migrant workers, COVID-19 and the environmental law, COVID-19 impact of COVID-19 on the on women in digital space as well as domestic space. Like, researchers have shown that during COVID-19 there has been rise in the number of domestic violence cases against the women. So, like, you need to identify the problem first, and then you need to know the variables in the problem. And then you need to formulate the hypothesis for writing a research paper. So for beginning a research, it is important to identify the problem. So this answers the question, I suppose. So next question is how to start legal research. I don't understand the difference between article and research paper. So it's a good question. So when we talk about research paper, it is a detailed note. It is a detailed note and a well-structured, formulated document for writing, for compiling your legal thoughts. So you have to cite various authorities also while writing the research paper, and it is a lengthy and descriptive document. For writing the article, article is of less words, like, say 2,000 to 3,000 words, and it is also the compilation of legal thoughts, but it is of less words. So this is the difference between an article and research papers. So in research papers, you cite authorities, but in articles it is more opinionated. Like, you form and you write your own opinions in the article, and you cite some works also, but it is not necessary in the article. Basically, you cite the information in the article. So next question is, Turnitin needs subscription. So is there any free online platform? Free online platform is available, but it is not reliable. So yes, Turnitin needs subscription. So basically, you need to consult, or you need to talk to your own institute's department, to your library also. They do have Turnitin subscriptions. Okay. Then the next question is, how do we cite PILs? For citing PILs, like, for citing any case law, it is very important. Like, case law citation is given in Journal of Indian Law Institute. You write the petitioner's name, then you write verses, then you write the respondent's name, then you write the citation, which is like, for Keshwan and Bharti. If we need to cite Keshwan and Bharti, it is Keshwan and Bharti versus State of Kerala, AIR 1973, then SC, page number so and so. So case law citation is also mentioned in JILI. So you need JILI's, it is available online. Citation methodology by JILI is available online. You can search on Google and get the citation methodology given by Journal of Indian Law Institute. Then next is, what is literature review and research methodology in a research paper? So basically, literature review is compilation of all the authorities which you have consulted for forming your own legal opinion. So that is literature review, as to like what various authors have to say on a particular topic. So that is literature review. And research methodology is the method, is the technique used for writing a research paper. So there are various techniques which you can use, like, there are various types of research. One is descriptive research, one is explanatory research, one is exploratory research. So these types of research come up with various methodologies, and you can use it while writing the research paper. So writing a research paper is not an easy task, but it is not a difficult one also. So for writing a research paper, you need to know your opinion first, as to where your opinion lies. So you can form your opinion on the basis of legal authorities which are available on the subject. Then what exactly is the concept of impact factor indexing international or national standards while submitting a research paper in a journal? So basically, impact factor is impact factor indexing international or national standards. So basically, the journals which are published by national law schools. Then there are some old journals like Madras Law Journal, Delhi Law Review. Then there are Andhra Law Journal, Journal of Indian Law Institute. These are some of the law journals which have good impact factor, and you can get your research papers published in these journals. Okay. Then the next question is, can you please tell us about how to write a literature review? So for writing a literature review, it is important to collect the data first using doctrinal methods. So as I have stated, that doctrinal methods means using library research, doing library research and compiling the data. So for compiling the data, literature review is compiling the various what various authorities have to say. So this you need to go for literature. This you need to do for literature review. But in writing a research paper, I believe that literature review is not included, but you include it in the research design, but don't include it in the main text. So literature review is very important for you to understand as to what various authorities have said in a particular case. Okay, so next question is, whenever we are citing case laws or words of any judge or courts or statistical data, it is counted in plagiarism. So yes, when you quote from cases, that is counted in plagiarism, because whatever is available in the online space comes under plagiarism. So that is what I want to say, that when you are writing a research paper, you need to know about plagiarism also, and you need to consider the various aspects of plagiarism as well. So around 10 to 15% of plagiarism is allowed, is permissible. So you can use it, you can quote it in the research paper. And if you are quoting it, if you are quoting from the judgments, when you are using the double quotes, it is not included in plagiarism. Then the next question is, when we identify a problem while writing a research paper, but how to find a variable? So variable is simply as I've mentioned in the lecture also, I've mentioned that lower class people commit more crimes than higher class people. So there are three variables in it: lower class, higher class, and crime. So these are the two variables: lower class, lower class and higher class, and the crime. So variables are nothing but these are the identification, this helps you to identify the problems. How do we cite the article available online, which we consider? Is it cited in the same way as we cite it in any web link? So yes, citing the available article is based on the citation methodology you are using. So like for JILI, that is Journal of Indian Law Institute, provides a citation methodology, and then it provides that how do you cite the article online. So I think so, yes. Is it cited in the same way as we cited in any web link? So it depends on the citation methodology you are using. Like for citing article using OSCOLA is different. For citing article using JILI is different. So you need to consult about various citation methodologies. So for basically, like for Indian journals, we rely on JILI, that is Journal of Indian Law Institute. You can get the citation methodology of JILI available online. Over to you, Shikhar. I have answered all the questions.
Once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving your precious time to us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.